Yo, I'm gonna show you how to make this dog shoot Peter Griffin in the head. Um, in hopefully under 5 minutes. So let's just get it started. Basically, the first thing I did, I made my character, which is this dog, and I imported a ton of animations too. Afterwards, I made like a blend space, which I have a whole tutorial. Like, it's just like a short on this. It's like 30 seconds long if you want to watch that beforehand. Once you have all your objects and stuff, I basically downloaded these weapons as well. I could put all this in the description and shit. So we got the pistol right here. I just put this straight up in. I did add component, scroll, or I did add component, did skeletal, basically did add component, skeletal mesh, motherfucker. I did add component, skeletal mesh, and then it auto selects the pistol because I already had it. Basically, you're going to want to orient it on the hand that he's going to be shooting from. So I oriented it on his right hand. Once you get it where you want it, basically just turn off the visibility so that you don't see it. If you go to the event graph, then I have a couple different events. So my first one, when I press 1 on my keyboard, it takes the gun away, and when I press 2, then I equip the gun. This could be the same as if like you pick up the gun or whatever, and basically it sets a variable that I put in here called gun equipped to true, and then it sets the visibility of the pistol that we put in. Basically just do this, it'll just make the pistol visible. So if you hold right mouse, which I did an input action, that's aim. There's another tutorial for input actions, that's pretty simple. When you press down aim, it checks do you have a gun equipped, and if you do, then it's going to set a new variable that says okay, we're aiming, and it's also going to create this widget that I made that's a crosshair. This is pretty easy. Is get an image of a crosshair and you put it in the middle of the widget. That's all I did. Super easy. After I make the crosshair, then I made a timeline here, and what this timeline is going to do is change the where the fuck what this timeline is going to do is change how far away the camera is from the player. So if you look at it right here, I could demonstrate. Every time I aim, you see that the camera zooms in. All I did to do that is just add timeline, and then I set it at where the camera boom is right now, which is right now set to 300, and I just pushed it in closer. So I went from 300 to 200, and to make it curve like this so it was kind of more smooth in the transitions, I just right clicked the first one and I hit user. Afterwards, I do this update, and it's just going to continue to set the arm length on the camera boom to whatever this value is. So it goes from 300 to 200. I have the exact opposite thing here and connecting it exactly like this is. All I did is copy this, paste this, and this is reversing instead. So it's going from 200 up to 300. That comes out of the input action when I release the aiming. So when I stop aiming, then the camera is going back to normal. I'm no longer aiming, and I'm removing this widget from the parent, which is the crosshair. So no more crosshair. Finally, there's one more input action, and it's the shooting. It's going to check if you're aiming, and if you are aiming, then you're able to shoot. This doesn't really matter right now. You could just do this aiming thing and connect it to a sound that I put. Fuck off! All this is doing is every time I press the shoot button, it's making a sound. Fuck, no it's not. Every time I press shoot, don't worry about this right now, then it checks if it's aiming, and if I am aiming, then it's going to get the location of the pistol, and it's going to play a sound. I'll let you hear it. After it plays it, then it's going to spawn the bullet actor, which is what's going to actually do the damage and stuff. So let's go to that. This is literally just spawn actor from class, and the class that I chose is one that I created called Pistol Bullet. So let's just go backwards through this. I already did it. I don't know if this is a great way, but I haven't made a video yet, so we're just kind of seeing how things go. What I did was I right-clicked. You can do this wherever, it doesn't really matter. I just did a blueprint class, and I did an actor. I named it Pistol Bullet, and then when I go in the actor, all it is literally this bullet mesh that I had in the same pack as the guns. And if you look in the event graph, this is all that goes on. There's nothing much here. There's an event tick where it adds an offset when this spawns. So basically, right when this thing spawns, it's going to do this. It's going to start moving negative 100 in the Z over and over and over and over. This is just the bullet moving. And I turned on sweep so that it's not teleporting negative 100, it's continuously doing it. This is basically just the velocity. A lot of people like to add an impulse. I think that's good, but like this is super easy to do too. And if it's not going in the right direction, just play around with this stuff and make sure this is negative too. This is just what's working for me. Holy shit, how did I forget about this? This transform is very important. I put a plane that's invisible in here. It kind of looked like an arrow. This is the direction I want it to go. You can see by like this red arrow here. And what I did was I connected it to the follow camera. I made the plane just ahead of the camera and kept these values at 0. Location, I just went forward so it's in front of my character. This is where the bullet is always going to spawn. You might be thinking, that's not in front of the fucking gun, but that's okay, because it spawns where the crosshair is going to be. That's how it works in a lot of games. You might be playing Hitman or something, and it's in third person, and you shoot like this, and the bullet is all the way over here for some reason. This is why. So make sure with this plane you set to no collision, and you're also going to want to turn the visibility off. As the camera turns, then the plane is also going to change its location in the world. So this plane's always going to be facing forward, always going to be in front of the camera, and that's why I want the bullet to spawn there. It's always going to be where the crosshair is. It's very accurate. So I take this plane and I get world transform, and then I plug that straight into where I'm going to spawn the bullet. So it's always going to spawn in the right direction, because transform is direction and rotation and location. That's why in here, all I need to do is add this negative 100Z. I then afterwards went to the mesh and I went down to on component hit. That means it's gonna hit you. I deleted it so that I could show you how this works. I hit the plus and I got this here. See this hit? Right click it and just split that bitch. And then you're gonna wanna come out of hit physics matte, get surface type, and then out of this do select. Basically, what this select does is choose from a ton of different materials that I got. Alright, so go to project settings. Under physics, you're going to want to scroll down and there's this huge section, and you're going to want to write down just the name of whatever materials you want. So I have multiple here. I put in stone, metal, grass, human. It doesn't matter what order you do it. It doesn't matter what names you do. When you go into, I'm going back to the pistol bullet here. When you go to the select, it automatically is going to have everything you have here. So you can tell, dude, this ain't blue like you told me it was going to be. That's okay. And you could do spawn emitter at location, and it's automatically going to plug into here. It's going to turn blue. And so for each type of material, I'm selecting what I want it to do. And I just plugged it into here. If you want to get materials, you could just look at Fab and they got some. You're going to want to take this static mesh, get world location like I did here, and then put it into the location. That's all you got to do. And basically, this is just checking what material the mesh hits, and then it's spawning an emitter at that location. If I hit a human, I'm going to explode into a ton of blood. After the emitter, put a small delay, and out of the delay, I dragged out and I destroyed the actor, which is this bullet, right? So anytime it hits something, now it's gone. So to actually set the material that it is, just right click physics, right here, physical material, and then you could do like human material, right? You could write this as whatever you want, and all you do in this thing is just for surface type, you do whichever one it is. These auto-populate, you save, and then under whatever mesh you want, so this is Peter, right? You just write down material, it'll say that he's a human, and it's going to react the same way. Last thing we have to do, so look, we're almost done here, dude. Go into Peter, on component hit, so this is the exact same thing that we dragged out of here, where we scrolled down and we did on component hit, but I'm doing it for the mesh of him. I'm dragging out of other actors, so this is checking, okay, what actor am I hitting? I'm hitting the bullet. Technically, the bullet's hitting me, but it's the same thing, dude. That's like Newton's law or whatever. Drag out of it, and you cast to, and I named the object pistol bullet. So this object is the one right here. When it collides with this, then the actor is going to destroy itself. So Peter's gonna be erased from existence. I have the exact same code right here, but it's just connected to the capsule component right here instead of the mesh. Does the same thing, it's just one of them's a hitbox and one of them's the mesh itself. So if you were to play right now with all the code I have, it would zoom in, it would have the crosshair, it would shoot, it would make the sound, and it would blow up Peter. The only thing I didn't show you how to do yet is the animation. It's actually a lot simpler than I originally thought it was. This is the exact same thing as this. Don't even worry about it. What I'm doing by dragging out of this is saying, okay, there's a new state here, and it's going to be when I'm aiming. So I go into this state, and I found this animation right here. Why is he so small? I found this animation that is him just drawing a gun and aiming it. I drag it out, and I plug it in, and then I don't want him to continue pulling out his gun over and over and over. So what I'm doing is I'm going into the details, and I'm not looping the animation. Once the animation stops, he stays like that. So he's going to pull out his gun and have it like that and just freeze. And that's what his animation is going to look like. That's exactly the same code as this is here. If I go into here, that's literally what it is. I took out the loop. And you're going to want to drag an arrow back. So I dragged one up and then I dragged one down. And within this is pretty important too. I have a variable and it's called aiming. Basically what this does is it checks if I'm aiming, and then if I am, it's going to go from here to here. That's why we wanted to make this earlier in the actual character, where I'm setting if I'm aiming, if I am, so that I could use that in the animation later. Let's go back to the animation. One of them is, am I aiming? And then the other one is, am I not aiming? So one of them is when I start to aim, it does the animation. When I stop aiming, it goes backwards and it undoes the animation and goes back into my regular walking cycle, right? So the way to actually set it up is, I already did this before. This is just for the regular walking. This doesn't matter. Don't worry about this part. This is if you want to add different animations for when you're holding a gun versus if you're not holding a gun. I have the same ones. It doesn't matter. But you could put this in later and we could talk about it later, but I'm not talking about it right now, okay? The only thing I'm going to talk about is the aiming thing. I made a variable here called aiming, and I dragged it out and I just set it, and what I do is I drag out of the character, I drag out of the character, and I get aiming, okay? And then I plug it into here so that it just sets it to whatever it is, and then once I do that, then I connect it to whatever was before it. But don't worry about this part! Don't worry about it! Anyway, you just compile and save after that, and then the animation's all set up, so when you actually play, then you go in, I press 2 because that's just the button I have to equip things, and then I aim, and I just shoot him and he blows up. Subscribe, and I'll do ammo shit next week.